Consider some future version of our to-do list management application that allowed users to classify lists using one or more categories, such as leisure, exercise, work, vacation, and cooking. Now, a list titled San Juan Vacation might be associated with several categories, such as leisure and vacation. And the leisure category would likely be associated with more than one list. For instance, San Juan Vacation or Saturday at the Park, meaning a list can be associated with many categories and a category can be associated with many lists. This is known as a many-to-many relationship. To implement a many-to-many relationship between two models, you'll need to create an intermediary table used to manage the relationship. And at a minimum, each record in this table will contain two foreign keys pointing to the related records found in the two parent tables. This join table is known in Laravel as the pivot table. So we'll go ahead and create this pivot table in just a moment. However, because we're relating lists and categories, I needed to first go ahead and create the category model, and that's again just a very simple implementation. And I've also created the migration, and each record in the categories table is just going to consist of a name, in addition to, of course, the ID and timestamp. So each record might be leisure, exercise, work, vacation, and so on. So I've created the category, I've created and run the migration. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is create that pivot table, which allows us to marry lists with categories. So I've headed on over to the terminal so we can create this pivot table. Laravel presumes the pivot table is named by concatenating the two related model names together with an underscore separating the names. And these names should appear in alphabetical order. Therefore, if we're creating a many-to-many relationship between the category and to-do list models, the pivot table name would be category to-do list, as highlighted here. Now, of course, the category model and the corresponding categories table needs to exist, and we've already gone ahead and done that. So I'm going to go ahead and create this migration now, and that's done. Next, we need to update this migration file before running it in order to properly reference the to-do list and category tables. I've opened the new category underscore to-do list table creation migration in the editor, and I've already gone ahead and updated the up method. What we want to do in this table is reference the primary keys of the categories and the to-do list tables. So as you can see, this looks quite similar to the migration found in the earlier has many discussion, because we need to first define the column used to reference the foreign key, and then we declare that foreign key reference next. So category ID is up first. It references the ID column in the categories table, and should that associated record ever be deleted, we're going to delete the record found in the category underscore to-do list table as well, because it doesn't make any sense to leave that orphaned record in the database. Next up is the to-do list foreign key definition. So we're defining a column named to-do list underscore ID, and it's a foreign key that points to the ID column in the to-do list table, and again, should that list ever be deleted, we're going to delete the record found in the category to-do list table as well. So with this defined, I'll go ahead and run the migration, and then we'll move on to defining the many-to-many relation in the category and to-do list models. I went ahead and ran the migration to create the pivot table, and additionally added a few sample categories to the categories table so we have something to work with when experimenting with this relation. But first things first, prior to doing that experimentation, I've opened up the to-do list and category models and created the many-to-many relationship in both. So let's start with the to-do list model. I've created a method called categories, and as you can see, we're returning this belongs to many categories. And notice how I've chained the with timestamps method to the return statement. This instructs Laravel to additionally update the category underscore to-do list timestamps when saving a new record. And if you chose to omit the created at and update timestamps from the pivot table within the migration, you can just go ahead and omit this with timestamps method. Next, we've created a similar method inside the category model. A category belongs to many to-do lists. So as you can see, the lone instruction inside the to-do lists method is practically identical to that found in the to-do list model, except now we're of course referencing the to-do list model rather than the category model. And again, if we are to manage the relationship from a category object, we want to make sure that the timestamps are updated as well. So with the two relations in place, category to-do lists and to-do list categories, them in place, we're ready to begin using the relation. So let's head on over to the Tinker console and do so now. I've returned to the Tinker console and have already gone ahead and loaded a category. And the category, as you can see here, the name is vacation. So we have this category object at our disposal. And now what I want to do is associate that with the San Juan vacation list. So next up, I'll go ahead and load that list. And then marrying the list with a category is as simple as chaining together categories and then passing in the category object that we'd like to associate. And once associated, you can of course call count like we did earlier with the has many relation. You can additionally iterate over a list's categories, as I'll demonstrate here. For each list categories as category, and then we will again just echo the category name. And sure enough, vacation is returned. Now because this relationship is defined in both directions, you can additionally iterate over a categories lists if you'd like. So we'll use the category object already in place, the vacation category, and once again we'll echo out the categories list names. I see I referenced lists rather than to-do lists, so I'll go ahead and return to the top of the for each block, and there we go. So I'll execute that, and sure enough, San Juan vacation is returned. So this is an incredibly powerful bit of syntax for marrying two models together in a many-to-many fashion.